Are recording now. Okay, so hello everybody. From Dr. Filippo, I've got with me Dr. Patrick, and he's a chiropractor, and he's a good friend of mine. We actually finished. We did the school together, so we studied together at a chiropractic college. We finished, and now one thing I really admire of Patrick is the fact that he's similar to me in the fact that he's very committed in learning. Now, as chiropractors, we have to do about 2 weekends a year to keep our title as professionals. Like other professionals, they're osteopaths, medical doctors. They have to do so many hours, and a lot of us sadly only do the minimum required. But Patrick is not one of those. He's always learning. He's always reading 1 or 2 books at the same time, or if not more. And that's why I really appreciate, and really it resonates with you. That's why I wanted to jump on a call with you and ask you a few questions. But before we jump into the question, I just want to introduce a bit of yourself and tell us more who you are.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for the flattering introduction. I wasn't realizing that flattery was going to be part of this podcast. He's bigging me up already. So yeah, I'm pretty certain our CPD hours in this country is 30 hours, and of that, only 15 of those actually have to be spent with others. And within a week, we probably spend that amongst our team, especially since this current situation, but we probably spend that just as a team. So a little bit more about me. So originally I grew up in the UK. I'm from the coastal town of Bournemouth, which funny enough is actually where you're now settling down, and right, where me and obviously Filippo originally first met, which was at the Chiropractic College in Bournemouth. So I grew up, I was one of 5 children. So I have 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers, none of which of my family were originally chiropractors. I'm actually the first chiropractor in my family. And so I grew up in Bournemouth with a particular interest in exercise and health generally. So I started off as a teenager in the health industry. I was working in just a local gym, and I kind of got to a point where I had to obviously choose what to do with my life. And I kind of looked down a lot of avenues. So physiotherapy, personal training, and then obviously chiropractic is essentially what kind of caught my mind in the end. And so then obviously that's when I kind of pursued on to going on into that. But a little bit more about me. I've always been particularly keen on health and exercise. That's really, for me, that's personally, I like to do a lot of, and I've also got a keen interest in obviously nutrition and how food and stuff interacts with the body. I really have like that keen sense of trying to keep things as natural as possible, whether that's with our exercise, whether that's with our sleep patterns, whether that's with like the food that we're putting into our bodies. I kind of have always been drawn to that kind of that lifestyle and that mentality. And that's really kind of what drew me into obviously the way that I am and who I am now.
Okay, that's awesome. So chiropractic. So there were many things. I mean, you could become a nutritionist. You could become like a PT or an osteopath. Why chiropractic and not something else?
So it's I'm gonna use our mentor's term here. I'm gonna go a bit woo-woo on you. So you're right. Ironically, what I wanted to do was become a physiotherapist. That was generally my thought process on where my career progression was actually going to take me. For many of us, especially in the UK, chiropractic isn't something that necessarily people have heard a lot about, and it's still a relatively new concept. Even though it's massively growing in this country now, it's still
it's still more preferred, especially for stuff like the NHS. It's still much more preferred for people to attend physio as opposed to chiropractic. And so my initial thought process was obviously to go towards and gravitate towards physiotherapy. Now, ironically, for some reason, something put me off. I think a lot of it was to do with you had to work for the NHS for an extended period of time. And when I started kind of reading into the underlying foundations of both professions, one of them didn't really kind of draw me in as much as the other. So when you look at physiotherapy and the idea of it, it was very reactive. There was no prevention involved, or in a lot of cases there wasn't a lot of prevention involved. It was very reactive, and that kind of again went against everything that I believed in anyway, of the idea of we should be exercising to keep ourselves healthy, we should be eating properly to keep ourselves healthy, we should be working on our mental health as well. But really, and this is where it gets a little bit deeper for me. I had a particular experience when I was 17 that really started to make me question what health was, and which way I should really be gravitating as far as questioning health. And unfortunately, when I was 17, I got the news from my parents that my mum had a terminal type of cancer. She actually had cancer of her colon. And actually, by the time that they'd found the tumor, it was actually the size of a small football. And ironically, even though like I said, I'm one of 5 children, we actually named the tumor George. So even during the most difficult times, my parents still actually found light in the situation. But actually looking back on that situation, it made me question a lot of things about what is health, where does health come from, and how do we actually pursue and grow on that. And then when you look at something like physiotherapy and you look at something like chiropractic is really looking at cause, and it's looking at underlying lifestyle, the types of stress that we're putting on our body, and how can we actually go against correcting that. Whereas physiotherapy is looking at a specific dysfunction and disease and not necessarily looking at the overall picture. It becomes very reductionist rather than holistic. And that's, I think, really, for me personally, why chiropractic really stands out as the profession that that many people gravitate towards in the long term. But that's me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that about your mom, actually.
There's a lot of things that we probably don't know about each other, despite the fact that we spent so much time at school together, because these aren't the things that necessarily come out.
That's right, man. That's why I like these kind of interviews, and I like the fact that you said about correct the cause of stress in the body instead of like looking at the symptom, and that's we have the same philosophy, and that's pretty cool. So now this is a very peculiar time in history. Okay, so this coronavirus, a lot of people is freaking out, and actually I've been in touch with some of my clients, and they are freaking out. They're scared that they don't want to go out, and some of them, they don't even have a healthy routine, and so you're so focused on health, and I wonder, so do you have any, because this is going out, I mean, the idea of doing this is that it can go out to the community and can help someone, okay? Whether you help 1 people or 1,000 people, it doesn't matter. So that, they can change something in their life in this exact time in history. So I would say, what are some tips, whether it's 1 tip or a couple of tips that you can give to someone that has health issues, but is in a lockdown? So I cannot do much. I just have to be in the house, but I have a health issues. What do I do?
Okay, so number 1, if you're one of Filippo's patients, listen to Filippo. This guy's advice is sound. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you're a very mechanistic chiropractor or whether you're a holistic or vitalistic chiropractor. the likelihood is if we've all gone to the same schools, and despite our opinions, we are all speaking the same tune, just in a slightly different frequency. All right. So some people are going to be, recommending exercise, which at the end of the day, a vitalistic chiropractor is going to recommend exercise. Are they going to spend loads of time doing it with you? Maybe not. But the question is are they still advising those things to you? So, I mean, number one for any chiropractic patient is listen to the advice of the person that you're paying, because the reality of it is they paid a hell of a lot more to learn this advice to give to you.
That's right.
That's the reason why we pay someone to do these things, right? Because they paid the fortune in order to learn the things to be able to teach you. So, chiropractor, it means doctor of chiropractic means the teacher of how to do things by hand or naturally.
That's right.
That's the direct Latin translation. Doctor is teacher or giver of knowledge. Chiropractic means to do by hand. So, I mean, number one is listen to the advice of your chiropractor.
That's awesome. Can I just add something there? Because you just something clicked. Is I haven't done the maths for this year yet, but I was looking at last year, so 2019. I was looking at how much money I spent for learning, mentoring, training, and I think
don't hurt yourself, man. Don't hurt yourself.
Well, it's actually, I spent like about over 15,000 pounds. And I'm not sure I told many clients, but when I told some of my clients, they're like, what? Why did you spend so much? Or even other chiropractors said, well, why shouldn't
people cannot believe that how much money we spent at university. Like, you spend it as a UK student, you'll pay roughly £4,000. We paid roughly £4,000 initially when I started at school. It's now gone up to nearly 10. So to be at university for 5 years, you're looking at it just on tuition fees is £50,000. And people cannot understand how you can continue that payment afterwards. Like, people don't understand. Like, the thing is that you paid a degree level, right? And you want to continue to learn at that level of progression. Think how much progression you make as a student at school, and then you go to college and you make that progression, and you make that progression as a university student, you learn even more. Why would you want to stop that progression?
That's awesome.
Why would anybody ever want to stop that progression?
Yeah, I never thought it that way. That's pretty cool. Yeah, keep learning at the same
time. Like the thing is that realistically, if you want to get to the next level, probably should be paying more than what you did at university. Not sure that I want to do that, but that's the reality. Like, every again, as our mentor said, every level has a new devil, and you have to break through that ceiling. And the reality of it is in order to get to these people that are more successful, you're gonna have to reach deeper into your pocket.
That's right. Awesome. So what's the second tip that you would give?
So don't change your healthy habits just because you're locked at home. If you're already doing exercise, don't give that up just because you're locked at home. If you're already eating a healthy diet, don't just change it because because people are panic buying. Changing the lockdown literally means that we should not be leaving the comforts of our own home. It's not restricting your garden. It's not restricting your front room. Can you still log on to YouTube, which, by the way, now, considering it's the lockdown, has more exercise plans being uploaded every single day than has ever been uploaded onto the internet in the history of time ever. So look, you haven't got any excuses. There are millions of videos being uploaded every single day with content that you could quite easily use equipment from home. Again, like I said, don't change your diet habits. Ironically, the things that are selling out in the supermarket is pasta, jarred sauces, and toilet paper. One of those is not something you definitely shouldn't eat. But the other two are things that are naturally long life. They've got very little nutritional value in them anyway. So these things that you were eating before, the fresh fruits and vegetables, they're still there in the supermarket. Don't stop buying them just because it's a lockdown. You know, just maybe substitute stuff in that is potentially got, if you don't want to leave your house as often, just substitute in for stuff that's going to have a slightly longer shelf life. You know, go for apples rather than grapes, because apples will last longer in your fruit bowl, than maybe you can still consume healthy foods, and you can still continue with your healthy lifestyle and take up new habits. You've got an abundance of time. If you haven't meditated, now's the time to try it. You know, most people get scared of the idea of meditation. They think of a monk or a Tibetan monk sitting on the top of a mountain in an orange gi, you know, continuously doing mantras of Om to themselves. Meditation isn't necessarily like that. It's different for everyone. And again, there's endless streams of information being uploaded. You can access this stuff on YouTube. There's apps for your phone. Essentially, meditation just needs to start with 5 minutes a day, and you could easily do that because everyone's got more time. All you need is a quiet space, and you know, you're centering yourself. You know, these are things, and for some people, meditation is playing a musical instrument. If that's what your version of meditation is, but the point of meditation is to take yourself out of that stressful zone of life and take yourself away from that. So rather than constantly driving in that overdrive, that sympathetic state that's going to break your body down, go to that parasympathetic, that rest and recovery state.
That's right.
And
it is
so
to
easy to
be
do.
Be present with yourself.
And by the way, that's going to be different for everyone. Some people may get really stressed of the idea of sitting in a room with no noise whatsoever. For some people, just having something calming like music or something on. I can't meditate in complete silence. It drives me absolutely bonkers. I have to have some level of frequency or something going on around me. But it's a habit that I've done for more than 2 years now.
Wow.
And when you get into a habit of it, yeah, it's slightly different for you. I haven't got 3 kids.
True.
By the way, I do have a baby that lives with me, but it doesn't wake up until midday, so it's fine.
I like that one. Well, funny you say that, because you know, I was talking to people, and they find a lot of people find excuse and say, you know, I have kids, I can't exercise, or my place is too small, or I don't have a garden. Look, I live in a 1-bedroom flat with 3 kids, and I'm pregnant.
By the way, I can vouch for this guy. I watched his video on Facebook earlier, and yeah, kudos to Filippo, because his kids were running riot whilst he was trying to introduce himself. But you know what made the video even more tantalizing? I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was so adorable. And
Thanks.
Look, do the exercise with your kids, man. Like take them out for the walk. Take them out. You know, you're allowed to walk once a day. You're allowed to go outside.
Oh yeah.
Take them for the walk.
Absolutely. I spend about 2 to 4 hours every day outside. I have this cue, so I take my little one, which is only 18 months, and he still sleeps in the afternoon. And we're taking him off the breast to give some rest to my wife. And so instead of sleeping at the breast and go down to sleep, I take him out on the buggy, and I just walk along the sea for an hour or two. Then come back, get the girls, and another hour or two outside. Awesome.
I mean, like being outside, being in it. There was a study done. I'd have to look this up. I can't remember where I found it. But they basically looked at prison officers, prison inmates, and essentially there was 2 wings. There was one wing that looked over the courtyard, which was just basically concrete, and there was another wing that looked out the fields or surrounding and the trees surrounding the prison. And the prisoners that were locked up on the wings that had a view that went out towards the fields versus the ones that looked on the concrete, there was I think it was roughly 30% less depression and anger outbreaks on the side overlooking nature.
Wow.
So there is something about nature that, again, scientists can't necessarily explain it, but being out in nature does something for our mental well-being.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Well, it's the same thing that the hair therapy they did when the Spanish flu hit the US. So they had no hospitals, and so they had open hospitals, and they were in the open air, and the patients were actually outside, they were getting the sun, and I think that rate dropped by about 30%, 30% less, that rate, compared to the one locked indoor.
Ironically, Mother Nature has worked things out for millions and millions of years, and we cannot necessarily change that. There is an order within the again, going a bit woo-woo, but there is an order within the universe, and there are some things that we can't necessarily control all the time. You've got to let nature do its thing sometimes.
That's right. Cool. Well, Patrick, I don't want to keep you too long. We had some amazing stuff from you. So lots of contact, lots of ideas. You're locked down. Yes, you're home, but hey, look, this guy has shared with us so much stuff. Just put it into practice, and you have the time, and just do it. Okay, so I just want to thank you, Patrick, for being with us today, and I really hope this video is going to help. I'm sure this video is going to help like many people. So
yeah, man, and thank you for having me. It's always a joy to get back in touch with people that you don't necessarily see for a long time, and learn a little bit more about people that you didn't know before. You thought you knew someone until you knew someone, right?
Yeah. It's true. Well, thank you so much again. So I just want to say, one more thing. If someone wants to get in touch with you, have you got like a website or a link that I can post together so that people can find you?
So I mean, if people want to contact me directly, my email is patrickhogg23@gmail.com. Our website for our clinic is completehealth.clinic. We're Eastbourne based, so we're about 40 minutes away from Brighton. So we're still on the south coast. We're actually probably about 2.5 hours away from you guys down in Bournemouth. I mean, you can always contact us via Facebook. Again, it's the same, Complete Health Eastbourne on Facebook. We have instant messenger on there. Or equally, if you want to find out a little bit more about my content, I've got my own channel on YouTube as well. And again, it's all just Complete Health Eastbourne. All of that content's all completely free, digestible. It's mainly for patients, but there will definitely be some tips in there that will help chiropractors as well.
Awesome. So what I'll do, thank you very much. I'll put your website link so that if someone wants to get in touch with you, they'll do it through there. So, that's it for tonight, guys. So I just wanted to thank you for being with us. Thank you again, Patrick. And that's it from Innate Wellness Chiropractic, helping your body do what it does best. Ciao.